Hi, everybody. Wishing all of you a very good evening. Thank you all for joining us on the evening of Janamashtami, and I'm super thrilled. I'm super excited to be hosting this webinar for you guys. We're hosting the Lyon Catholic University or the Lyon Business School ESDES, and I'll introduce myself as well. I'm Praneeth. I'm the Associate Director of upGrad Abroad. As some of you may be aware, upGrad Abroad sets up a 1+1 or an articulation study abroad setup in which you start in India, you start early in India, you complete up to 1 year of your master's degree or your bachelor's degree in India, and then you finally transfer to the campus abroad. This not only saves a lot of time, but saves a lot of cost, especially those of you who are working right now and can start in India. We have an AACSP accredited school called IMT Ghaziabad that lets you start all business courses, including your MBAs and MIMs and MSCs across the world. And you can do the initial 1 semester or the initial 1 year in India. Now, some of you may know this, that France just has some of the better schools in France for their management courses have one intake, which is September. And so if there was someone like yourself who were to go now or who were to choose now, rather than going in September 24 for the complete master's course, we let you start right now with us in India and do enough portion of your study so that in September 24, when you go, you have an advanced standing. Now, most of the business schools in France have a 240 ECTS requirement. That's a 4-year degree requirement that they need for you to do that 1 year master's, whether it's an MSc or an MBA or whichever degree you're actually looking at. Similar is the case with ESDES. So what upGrad does is anyone who's had a BBA or a BCom or a BA background, we let you do 1 year of PGDM or a postgraduate diploma in management from IMT Ghaziabad. It's also called as the AGM, the Advanced General Management course, which is online on upGrad, so that you're fully eligible for the ESDES Business School, saving you so much time, so much money, and making you eligible. The other biggest benefit of this is if you come from an engineering background and you're suddenly going to FinTech or suddenly going to a circular economy or a tourism management course, it may feel like an abrupt shift of domain for you. So we let you do 11 months of your management coursework in India for you to feel that you've got a good, tight grip over management study. So that's in essence the model of upGrad. Some of our courses allow you to save over 50 to 55 lakh rupees when it comes to your master's degree across the world. We have with ourselves Caroline Dua, who's the Director of International Recruitment for ESDES Business School. So all of you can say hello to her, and I'll let her say hello to you guys.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. And we've got Sojan, who's the India rep for ESDES Business School. I'll let him say hello to all of you.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. So I'm sure all of you are very well aware that management studies across Europe are really affordable when it comes to comparing them to the UK or the US or Canada or Australia. Now, like I mentioned to you, the real key is the eligibility. Business schools, some of the top 100 schools in Europe, one of which is ESDES Business School, which is at 86th in Europe as the top business school. ESDES is really selective when it comes to the sort of students that they admit. Of course, we'll ask a lot of things from Caroline and Sojan over the next 1 hour, but I really want you guys to know that some of these business schools, which are top 100 in Europe, are really selective, and they want a decent managerial experience in terms of either work or in terms of your degree. But the real key is that you should have had a 240 ECTS or a 4-year degree to pursue 3 or 4 MSCs at ESDES, the MSc FinTech, the MSc Tourism, and the MSc Circular Economy. All 3 of these will let Caroline and Sojan explain to you guys more in depth. But how do we then solve this entire issue that while you study management, but everyone in India, mostly when you come from BBA or BA or BCom, you will have a 3-year degree and not a 4-year degree at all. So upGrad came up with this 1-year course called the Advanced General Management Program from IMT Ghaziabad, which you normally get at a CAT 90% and above. And when you do that with us online, that's when you move to ESDES Business School for your final leg. And here's the interesting part. ESDES Business School gives upGrad students 10% scholarship, which means the cost of your education at ESDES comes down to about 11 lakh rupees. And that is it. Now, I'd like to repeat once more. ESDES is one of the top 100 business schools in Europe at number 86th. What I'll do is I really want you guys to understand that while upGrad has a solution for you to study in France, while the studies in France are super affordable, we've got 3 disciplines on offer: FinTech, Tourism, and Circular Economy. But I think the real question that I really want to ask Caroline is, why does she feel that France is one of the most strongest countries in the world to build your life in? How many jobs does it have? How are the jobs and how safe is it for international students? And why should one pick France over Germany?
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Praneet. So yes, why France is, you have to choose the France. I think first the tuition fee are affordable, more than English-speaking countries like Australia, US, and everything. And compared to other European countries like Germany, you can study French, and you can speak French at the end of your courses, your master program, and work in France. And this, more countries in the world speak French instead of German. And for example, Africa, a lot of countries speak French in Africa. And so after, you can have some opportunities to develop your business with some African countries with French culture. So this base compared to Germany, and in France, we have a lot of. I can't give numbers of international companies who can recruit Indian students, because it depends of the master specializations and everything. So, but Paris and Lyon, we have a lot of international companies who recruit international students. And as well, we have a partnership, the French government with the Indian government. There is a partnership for the stay back. So after your graduations, you can stay and try and find a job in France, and you have 2 years stay back.
You've raised a very strong point. I'd just like to remind everyone who's with us right now that earlier this year, Prime Minister Modi had visited France, and we came up with a very strong proposition for Indian students. You either get a 2-year post-study work visa, or which is also called the APS, or the job seeker visa, which is a 1+1. So you get 2 years in France to find work, compared to 18 months that you get in Germany. So you get extra time to find a job. The other option that France has, which is very lucrative, is a 5-year alum visa. That means that you come back to And over 5 years, you keep finding jobs in France, and you can visit France at any time for a maximum length of 90 days to appear for job selection or any recruitment activity that the company wishes to do with you. But the good part is you've got over 5 years to come back and still have an option open for you to build your life in France and find a great job. My next point is something that I just saw a question for. Can we go to France with an MOI? So here's the interesting part. France does not need IELTS. ESDES is okay as long as the medium of instruction has been English during your undergrad. And as long as during your selection, if the school wants to talk to you and you're fluent, you have a good command over your language, IELTS is not a mandatory or a necessary step at all, as long as the command over your command over the language is really strong. And if there's a filtration, screening, selection that Caroline's team wants to do, and they want to speak to you over Zoom or Skype or Meet or Teams, you can prove or demonstrate that fluency. I'd let Caroline explain that more, that how do they actually test the fluency? And is this actually true that you don't need IELTS?
Exactly, you don't need IELTS. So if you can justify that you study 2 years in English speaking programs, you don't need any English certificates, because you are going to have an interview, 30 minutes interview with the head of the program, and they can check your level in English. And if you didn't study in English speaking programs, in this case, you will you can pass an exam. It's an easy speaking English test, but it's online. It's only 30 minutes. It's not a very complicated test, and it's not IELTS.
Thank you. We've got one more thing for you. Someone wants to know, what is the medium of instruction at ESDES? Would you like to speak about that? So in which language do you teach the MSCs?
The MSCs is full in English.
Absolutely. So for an Indian student to thrive or to navigate life on campus, it's going to be extremely easy. All ESDES MSc courses are taught in English, which makes it super easy for Indian students to navigate or thrive in the academic system. And plus, I'd also let Caroline answer one very important thing, and I'm sure you get asked this very often. How important is it for someone like myself to know French? And how much time do I have to actually get a good hold over French? And if I were to build my career in Paris or Lyon, how important do you think is the knowledge of French language, and when can I learn it?
So yeah, to study, so to find a job in France or internship in a French company, you have to reach a B2 level in French. So this is, without a B2 level in French, it's difficult to communicate, to work, and everything. So the number of months or years to reach this B2 level, it depends of each person, because I can see that some students, when they arrived here with, for example, an A2 level, A1, A2 level in French, they are really motivated to stay in France and to work in France in a French company. So during the program, we propose 30 hours per French courses per semester. So it's 60 hours French courses during 1 year. It's not enough. If you have, for example, A1 level and you want to reach a B2 level in 1 year, it's not enough. So, but in the Catholic University, it's a big university in France, and we have a French language department. So some students, after the ESDES courses, they go, for example, on the night, they go at some French courses to improve their level and to reach this B2 level. So this is the first things. Additional French courses. If you have, for example, the A1, A2 level, and you want to reach in 1 year the B2 level. And as well, it depends of your life. If you live with French people and you speak French all the time in your daily life, you will improve your level very quick, very fast.
Thank you so much for answering that. We've got so many questions already, and I really encourage all of you that if you're really giving us your time, for us as a group to make the most of it, please ask us any questions that you may have. I can see some of you are asking wonderful things, and that can really help everyone. So for everyone who just joined us, wishing all of you a very good evening. I'm Praneeth. I'm the Associate Director for Study Abroad at upGrad. We have with us Caroline Duval and Sojan from ESDES Business School in Lyon, France. It's the top 100 business schools in Europe at number 86. Their MIM, or a Master's in Management, is 81st in the world. That's the kind of B school that we brought. Now, the ESDES Business School is an AACSB and EFMD school, which means it's double accredited. Only a few IIMs in India have that accreditation in place. So that's how prestigious the school is. Their MSc is at 11 lakh Indian rupees. It starts from there. upGrad has a 10% scholarship. So I know one of you just asked, does IMT Ghaziabad have a partnership with them? Yes. So here's what we do. Now, for all of you who've just joined us, I'm sorry to be repeating this, but the ESDES Business School has 3 MSCs that they're offering with us. We'll, of course, ask the team to expand more on that. We've got the MSc FinTech and Impact Finance. We've got the MSc Tourism and Event Management, which is a big industry. France is actually the biggest tourism industry in the world is in France. So France attracts almost 89 million tourists every freaking year. So it has the biggest tourism industry with 280 billion USD of GDP. So that's how big and superior it is. The third thing is the MSc Circular Economy and Sustainable Development, which is the third MSc. Now, the eligibility criteria for these MSCs are a 240 ECTS background, which is a 4-year academic background, much like how the US has. Now, I'm assuming most of you are going to be from a BBA BCom background. In India, BBA BCom are 3-year degrees and not 4. So which means for if you were to pursue tourism or fintech or circular economy, you need 1 extra year. So what we taught at upGrad was we let you keep your job with you. Don't quit working. Don't quit your job. Pursue our IMT certificate online. IMT is articulated to ESDES and is recognized as 60 ECTS. So that makes you eligible for the MSc courses at ESDES. I let Caroline talk more about each of the 3 courses that we have on offer, but the essence is 1 year gets waived off, which you were to do from somewhere because you needed a 240 ECTS background, and we get an additional scholarship. We just had Caroline speak a little bit about France as one of the next parts of the world that's going to attract a lot of international students. Of course, French is it's the 5th most widely spoken language in the world, and about 32 countries in the world speak French, including Canada. Canada has a huge French-speaking strata as well. So going back to Caroline, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the 3 courses that we have on offer, and who do you think these really are for, and why do you think it makes the most amount of sense to study fintech in France and tourism and event management in France? And finally, why does it make sense to do circular economy in France, Caroline?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I will start with the third one, the circular economy and sustainable innovations. because so this one, we can see that in France we have some, so the French government decisions about circular economy and sustainable innovations are quite high, and we are in advance for different subjects. So in France, we have a lot of motivations to do this, and a lot of companies create now the CSR departments. Mostly of the big companies, they have the CSR department. So after this MSc in France, we propose a lot of opportunities to work in this kind of department in the companies. So this is very important things. And as well, ESDES, it's one part of the Catholic University of Lyon. And one of the value of this university, it's to be responsible native, that is to say that to have some skills and soft skills in all environment subjects. So we have a lot of courses, subjects in the universities, associations deal with this circular economy and sustainable innovations. For the tourism one, MSc in sustainable tourism, this one, the courses are located in Annecy. Annecy, it's a city very close to Switzerland. It's only 30 minutes by car from Switzerland. And as well, it's in the mountains. It's close to the mountains and Chamonix. Maybe you can know this very famous cities city in the mountains, in the Alps. And we, so as you said, Pranit, it's the one of the biggest countries in the world for the tourism. So so it's a very developed sector in France, and is located in a very dynamic and tourism city, Annecy, because it's very close to the Alps. So where for the students, they will have some very good experience, study cases in the mountain in France, in this MSc. For impact finance, this is the same, because we, as the French government, set up a lot of rules, mandatory rules for the companies. So we can see that the French companies adapt and change their finance department to be in line with these mandatory rules. So in impact finance, we have a lot of innovations in France in this area as well.
Great. I'd also let everyone know at this point that France is a very robust economy, is the 7th largest economy in the world, and has about 31 of the Fortune 500 companies that we have across the world. So Fortune 500 are the most profitable 500 companies in the world, and 31 are French. And I think, while most of you may know, Schneider is one of them. The Louis Vuitton house is one of them. Dior are some of them. Then you've got a company called Capgemini. There's just so many of them that are there. And I think the most important part is, like I said, all of these 3 courses have a huge job industry. They have so many jobs that you can possibly get. And like I mentioned, France is the #1 industry for tourism in the world, with 280 billion, or 10% of the complete GDP of France. So if you were to make your life in that sector, in the foothills of Swiss Alps, is exactly where you should be. And that's where the campus is. We'll take a few more things that you guys have asked, and I love, and I did encourage all of you to ask us any questions. So, what kind of scholarships are available? So we've got a 10% flat scholarship for upgrad students. Then we've got someone who's saying, so we've got a student called Augustine. He says, I have just returned back from a 6-month exchange from France, and I am completing my 5th year of integrated masters in product designing. I have completed my A2 level in French language. I'm interested in pursuing an entrepreneurial management course. How do I go about it? So while I'd of course ask Sojan and Caroline to comment more on this, but I think for you, it depends a lot on what is the sector that you possibly want to explore. Circular economy and sustainable development makes a lot of sense for you. So does FinTech if you have a slight interest in finance. And I think the fact is that ESDES Business School is one of the best business schools that France has. It's top 25 B schools in France. Like I said, we've got 3 MSc courses with us. We've got the MSc FinTech, MSc Tourism, and MSc Circular Economy. My pick for you would be Circular Economy and Sustainable Development, because I think that's the need of the hour. And like Caroline was mentioning, there's a huge sector. I'd still give it back to her and ask her for her comments on what does she feel that a product designing graduate could possibly do. So he wants to know that if I have a product designing background,
with a product design background, yes, so to study on this MSc, Circular Economy and Sustainable Innovations, a product design background is important, but as well you have to have some backgrounds in business. Because it's so it's after 4 years of studies, so it's 1 year program. So there are you are going to study management in the sustainable environment. So you have to have some product design is perfect, but as well some management skills.
Thank you. I'd like to repeat one more time. We're super open for you guys to ask us any questions that you may have at this point. I'm talking to Caroline Dubois and Sojan Sebastian from ESDES Business School of the Lyon Catholic University in France, the top 100 business schools in Europe, and the top 81st Masters in Management in the world comes from this school. It's a dual accredited business school, EFMD or EQUIS and AACSP. We've got a question here. What are the type of jobs we're looking at if I do an MSc in tourism and event management?
So in this case, you will do jobs in so it depends of the kind of companies, because you can have the big companies with sustainable department, and this it's a cross-department service, and you can change the mind and the way of working and the organizations in the different departments. So you have these solutions, or you can work in, I don't know, for example, in an hotel as a manager in the reception, for example, or for the events in a hotel. And you can be recruited to be a manager of events, but you can change the way of you organize the events. You see, so it depends of the different companies, and so in France we can see that mostly the students are working in they can be recruited for not a specific environment sustainable tourism, but they prefer to recruit this kind of students because they know that they are going to change the organizations and they are going to be sustainable way of working, and they are going to improve the brand image of the hotel or the restaurant or the event companies and these kind of things.
Got that. Yeah, I think some of the jobs that you're lucky to get is the opportunity for you to manage events, to manage hotels, manage hospitality chains, whether it's a resort or a hotel or a banquet. You become a development manager at any of the hospitality functional chains. You can get the job of a quality assurance handler. You can become a communications director. There are so many different things, but I think essentially go in the hospitality and event industry, which is a big one in France. And of course, like I said, every year they attract 89 million visitors from across the world. And so managing that with so many companies who plan their vacations or their tours or their hotel stays, whatnot. And like I said, 10% of the GDP is occupied by this industry alone. So I don't think you'll have to worry much about the job aspect. I've got a couple of more questions here. How much does it cost for an MBA? So although we don't have an MBA with ESDES, we've got an MBA from one of our other partner schools with IMT. And I think it's very similar. It's going to cost you about 11 to 12 lakhs, and you can visit our website for more. With ESDES Business School, although we've got MSc Tourism and Event Management, MSc FinTech, and MSc Circular Economy and Sustainable Development. We've got one more question. What is the medium of this course? So it's going to be fully on campus in France. It's just that first years in India, or as soon as you do the first year, you immediately move to France through upGrad. upGrad handles your visa, everything, and then we finally send you to France. I'd like to invite Sojan to speak a little bit about what really happens when students apply for their student visa. What is it that they're supposed to pay to the university? What is it that they're supposed to do when to demonstrate their financial health?
All right. Thank you so much, Pranit. Okay, regarding the visa requirements, so the first part of the program goes to the motivation interview, and once the student has been admitted in the business school, they will have to pay the initial amount of 3,000 euro for the course fee. Okay, so that is the first installment of our tuition fee. Then after the first installment of the 3,000 euro, the admission department or the registration department will confirm the student's application with the registration certificate. With the registration certificate, the students can start the process of Campus France procedures. They can open in the campus, let's say ID, they had to create an ID and in Campus France website and upload the documents required by the Campus France. And by paying an initial, let's say the processing charge or documentation charge of Campus France, roughly about 18,000 INR. So, okay, once it is being paid, they will confirm the students the interview with the Campus France. So the Campus France manager will schedule an interview with the student. Either it will be on online, or maybe they'll be invited to visit the Campus France manager at his office, face-to-face interview. In that case, they'll have to carry all the original documents of the candidates. And once the interview has been successfully completed with the Campus France manager, they'll be provided with the NOC if it is possible on the same day or the next day or on email. So they'll have to take a screenshot the printout of the email, and along with the other documents required for the visa purpose, we have our own accommodation department. So upon the confirmation of the students' application, they can also get in touch with our lodging department, and by paying 100 euro on average 8,000 INR, they can get a confirmation on accommodation from our university itself. And with the accommodation certificate, they can go to VFS for the documents or visa submission. So they're also roughly about 10,000 INR will be the cost for the VFS. So they have to submit over there, and within maximum of 50 days time, they'll be obtaining their visa. So that is a visa part. And regarding the what do you call cost of living is expected to be like more than 9 lakhs. So let it be, let's say 9 lakh minimum in their account, which has to be there minimum of 3 months. So let's say 3 months maturity of this fund in their account. And with that, they can also prepare an affidavit with what are the assets they have, or maybe the parents also they can parents also can sponsor their these children. And they can also prepare an affidavit with assets of the parents, and with the affidavit along with the other documents of the VFS, they can submit the for the visa. I think it's clear, right?
100%. So basically, they need 9 lakh rupees to show in their account, which should be old enough by at least 3 months, and they need to go to Campus France and get their documents validated by Campus France, and then they can move to ESDES Business School. We've got a couple of...
Sorry, one more point to add to this. In fact, we always recommend students to pay the remaining tuition fee for the first year before visa. So they can also obtain the receipt for the first year complete tuition fee paid before visa, and they can attach this receipt also to VFS. In case if they have not completed the payment of first year tuition fee, they will have to show that amount along with the 9 lakh in their account.
Great. So essentially, we need to show that we've got 1 year of tuition and 1 year of living with ourselves. Yes. Now they can choose to pay it or have it in their account. Yes. For those of you who want to ask me how much does it cost, so it costs about 11 lakh rupees. Like I said, only a few IIMs in India are double accredited, and ESDES is a double accredited business school. It's AACSP and ACWIS through the EFMD accreditation. And so that means it's one of the most prestigious business schools in the world. So it is, of course, value for money. Different salaries can go as high as about 60k euros, but I think the starting salaries are easily about 40k euros that you're going to start with. So almost 4 times the return on investment is what you get. The MBA, I know a lot of you are asking for MBA. We have an MBA through ICD Business School and American Business School, but I just feel that since this webinar is about ESDES, we can talk about some of the courses that we have at ESDES. And of course, you can visit our website for more on the different courses that we have. I can go a little bit into the other things that you asked me. I have done my master's in yogic science. So for those of you who have a non-management or non-business or non-commerce background, that is why we let you go through the IMT pathway, so you can develop a 1-year robust foundation in management, and then you go to ESDES. I'd let Caroline explain a little bit more about, for a of course, like all of you know, they need a 4-year bachelor's background for any student to enter. So of course, for BBA, BCom, BA holders, it makes sense to go to IMT and then go. But Caroline, what I want to know from you is, even though an engineering student can easily apply for you because he has a 240 ECTS background, why do you think IMT is a very important part of their academic journey? What do you think are some of the skills that ESDES will really value if they come through IMT and not straight away after 240 ECTS?
Yeah. So yes, it's after technological or medical, or I can see zoology, or all this bachelor. It's if you have 3 or 4 years studies in this technical part, it's not possible for you to study on an MSc. You have to study 1 year in IMT university to reach these skills of and to study all this management subject and the basic one. And as well, I think it's important to study in India first during 1 year in a Business School before studying in a French business school, because for you it's going to be a big change when you study in France. So, so first step, study in India in all the business subject, management subject, and after you can study in France. And we have a partnership with IMT, that is to say that we did a mapping during our courses, and we know that after these courses in IMT, you can follow our programs, and there is a continuous progress between our two universities.
Yes, of course. I think it makes absolute sense. Like Caroline was mentioning, I think to champion a course like tourism and event management or FinTech or circular economy, I think your foundational knowledge, your that leeway, that look, anyway, you've got one intake in the year, which is September. If you choose now, you anyway can only go in September of next year. Now, the point is, while you can do that, take a year, keep working, but build that managerial background. So when you actually graduate from ESDES, you've got a dual certification in your hand. You've got the 60 ECTS from IMT Ghaziabad and the 60 ECTS that you get from ESDES Business School, which is your MSc. Caroline, I think I'd like to ask you one more thing. How do you compare an MSc in circular economy or FinTech or event management with an MBA? Do you think there's any difference when you actually apply for jobs?
Between what and what?
Between an MBA and an MSc in management, what do you really think is the difference? So the three MScs that we have.
Yeah, so the MSc, that is to say that you are very specialized in one subject. So sustainable tourism, FinTech, impact finance, or circular economy. That is to say that you are going to be an expert in this area, this subject. MBA, it's more general. You know how to manage a company and a business. So it's not the same kind of job that you are looking for.
Got that. We've got one more question. IMT one-year course in India is a certificate. So it's called the AGMP. It's a 11-month exit from their PGP, which is their MBA typically. So it makes a lot of sense for you. Now we've got someone called Tanishka Raju. If I have a 5-year MWalk in design, do I still need? Yeah, so my point is, while you may be an expert in design, I think to do an MSc in economy or sustainable development or FinTech, I think a managerial experience or a degree or a certificate is really, really, really important, or you will not be able to cope up with the intensity or the rigor of managerial coursework at ESDES. Look, you're going to one of the top 100 business schools in Europe. You need a solid foundation in management. And while design may have made you very smart and sharp, I just feel IMT can help you. Look, even if you choose to go without us, that's okay. The point is you'll go in September anyway. So even if you do this one-year course with us, one, you'll get a 10% scholarship at ESDES, but the other part is you'll have a dual degree in your hands. So we've answered this. Then we've got, I am pursuing a BBA. What is the criteria to get admission on the upGrad course, which includes foreign college experience? So we just need you to finish your degree of BBA, do the IMT part, get the 240 ECTS, the 4-year requirement done, and then we can apply for you at ESDES. Rajesh, we have that option in MSc, although not in ESDES, but we have another partner where we do a digital marketing MSc. And when you visit our website, you can know more about it. For those asking us, how do you apply in courses? There is a website called upgradabroad.com. My colleague Arushi has put down the chat box link. I can also put down my email address. Feel free to write to me. And meanwhile, I will also give you the upGrad Abroad website. So you go to upGrad Abroad, write on explore courses, and when you go to masters, you just have to select France, and all of those courses will come, right? I think we've covered a lot of these things. The living expenses. So, Caroline, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about Lyon as a city and what are the living expenses there.
So Lyon is the second city of France after Paris. The advantages to live in Lyon is that it's cheaper than Paris and safer as well. So the budget is between 600 euros and 800 euros to live in Lyon. You can manage with a 600 per month budget if you find an accommodations in our Catholic University students' residence, or we have as well some, the French government offers some residence for the students. So it's completely affordable, 600 budget when you live in these residences. As well in France, for the health insurance, it's not very expensive compared to other countries. We have a very good social insurance system. So you pay every month a fixed amount, 30 euros, and after every health expenses are completely covered. As well, our public transport is very well organized and is the same. You pay 30 euros per month and you can take any public transport in a bus, train. We have bicycle as well because it's a small city and not very hot country. And as well, we have the subway. So to live in France, it's more expensive than compared to some countries, but we have a lot of public organizations, transports, health insurance, all these kind of things. So the cost of life, it's not so expensive.
Thank you, Caroline. We've got couple of more questions. What is the scope of masters in fintech in France? So Amir, like I mentioned to you, I think we need to understand that France is the 7th largest economy in the world. It has a very robust marketplace. And fintech is not just, since the scope of fintech across the world is so huge, a similar picture can be translated for the French market environment or the market ecosystem as well. We've got 31 of Fortune 500 companies and 53 out of the Forbes 2K list, the top 2K traded companies in the world. France has 53 of them. You've got Capgemini, you've got Louis Vuitton House, you've got Schneider. So many.
Total. I think in India you have as well Decathlon, BNP Paribas, Société Générale. You have a lot of companies.
The fintech scope is huge. I think France is changing the landscape of the world, and it's a very huge and industrial, hotbed as well. It's got tons of jobs. At one random day in the month of July, I was looking. There were 53,000 IT openings in Paris alone. 53,000 job openings.
And as well in France, just to inform you about the content, we on this time we have after the Second World War in France, so in 1945, we have a lot of births in France. So the number of births increased. And this person worked during 40 years. And now they are going to finish their working life. So we have a lot of pending jobs in France. So a lot of companies recruit on this time because a lot of people are going to leave the working life. They are going to be retired. So, and so we have some, so the growth, we have a growth and as well some retirement plan. So a lot of companies propose jobs and qualified jobs. And as well, for the Indian students, they can stay in France to work in France. But as well, I think they can have very good opportunities when they go back in India in French companies, because they can have the double culture, the French culture and the Indian culture. So I know that the French companies who, for example, Decathlon, they are looking for this kind of students, Indian with French culture.
Great. Yeah, and that makes absolute sense. We've got a couple of questions here. Give me just 1 second. I'll just respond to some of them over chat. But with 20 years of experience in IT and BFSI, MSc FinTech was. So the upper limit for MSc ideally is 35. I'll still let Sojan comment on what is the age limit for MSc. I know MBA typically will not have an age limit per se, but over to you, Sojan.
Yes, that's right, Praneeth. So we can admit students 35 or maybe maximum, let's say 38, not beyond that maximum. But no, there are also some questions. I think in the initials, the questions whether like the age gap or gap years are being accepted with specific justification with work experience. If they come with the application, yes, definitely we can accept those applications. And the only thing, because there will be definitely a cross questioning from the campus front segment. So what I've been doing these years, how are you going to justify your gap? So definitely the students can produce a work experience certificate and which is relevant to the course that they're going to attend.
Thank you. My next question is for Caroline. A lot of them are asking about internships. I know that internship is embedded as a part of each of these three courses, whether it's tourism or fintech or circular economy. I'd let you talk a little bit about which are some of the companies they're placed with or they are interning with, and how does this process start? How early in that 1 year do you start finding them internships? So how frequently do they have to find internships themselves?
First, so in the Catholic University and ESDES, we have internship departments. So they propose some internships. So we have a database with all the internships that they propose. Catholic University, it's 140 years. It's mostly 150 years old university. So it's a very old university in Lyon and in the center of the city. It was one of the first university here. So we have a lot of partnership with local companies and international companies in Lyon. So, we can propose some internship in our partnerships companies here. So that's it. And and as well, you will have some courses to understand the French culture, how to write your letter of motivations in France, and as well your resume in France with the French culture. So this internship department will propose you internships, but as well will train you assist you, support you to catch the French culture to be sure that you are well prepared for your interviews, for your internship.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind everyone that all of these 3 courses have a 4-month internship built into.
When to try to find the internship, so as soon as possible, of course. So the 4 months internship will be at the end of the class. So it will be in May, June, July, August. No, sorry. There will be September, October, November, December. And you can start, yes, maybe, I don't know, 6 months before to find internship. But this, we will give you a plan with the different steps to be successful at the end. And you will have someone who will assist you.
Absolutely. Some of them are asking, what are some of our alumni earnings? So when you talk to a counselor, upGrad counselors will soon be in touch with you. You can have them speak to some of the alumni that we have across Europe, some of them are in France and in Germany, Finland, and talk to them about what their salaries are and what are they expecting. But I can also go to Caroline and ask her, what are some of the starting salaries at ESDES once these students graduate?
Yes. So I can give you an average salary. The average salary, it's 32,000 euros per year. But this is an average salary. I can see a big difference, for example, in the finance jobs. It's proposed the highest salary, you see. And if you work, for example, in an M&A, so a merger and acquisition department, and you work in a startup, circular economy startup, you will not receive the same salary, but it's not the same job, the same project of life and everything. So it's difficult to give you an average salary.
Thank you so much. We've got someone asking, what is the RNCP level 7? What is the RNCP level? It's level 7, which is master's.
Exactly.
And they're a Grande École school. So you're pretty safe. I'd let Caroline also explain a little bit later, what does a Grande École school actually mean? And why is it the most prestigious stamps that you can have on your master's degree? We had one more question on part-time work. You're allowed 20 hours of part-time work in a week, and from student 40 hours during your break. I'll go back to Sojan and ask him, what are some of the part-time work opportunities that students will have in Lyon? Sojan?
All right. So we always recommend students, those who are coming down to France, they'll have the idea of going for a part-time job. From the school, or it's officially recognized, and we can tell them 20 hours in a week they're allowed to do the part-time job officially, and the areas where they can find the job, especially when we're talking about the university. Since the university, they have got a few opportunities for girls in and around the university, the cafeterias and the pizza huts close by. And for the boys, definitely there are always options. But we cannot even separate them separate them like that. But still, from the point of view, I'm just trying to tell the students that they can also go for the gas stations, pizza huts, supermarkets. So these are the areas where they need to go for the part-time job, or thinking of finding a part-time job from these areas. I think Caroline want to add something to this.
No, that is to say that in France it's the same. You can. There are a lot of part-time job propositions.
Yes. But ultimately, we always recommend. She has already mentioned initially all the programs we are offering at ESDES. We also give them the training for the French language. So always make it a point, along with your studies, you learn the French language also, which will support you to find part-time and full-time jobs at the end of the program, and part-time jobs easily during your course.
Thank you so much. A lot of them are asking the PSW. Like I said, the PSW is 2 years, which is a job seeker visa, or you get an alumni visa for 5 years and you come back to India and find a job. And during your interviews anywhere else, you can always travel to France and look for. You can go for a maximum period of 90 days to France during those 5 years until you find a job. So you can keep traveling back and forth. Once you have a job, you get a CDD or a CDI. A CDI is an indeterminate contract, which means that you can work for as long as your contract exists. Both CDD and CDI have a year-long validity, and of course, it's then extendable. More on that from the counselor from upGrad who's going to call and speak to you. In the best interest of time, I'm just going to pick some questions. If you guys are from any background which is non-managerial or non-business, non-commerce, you can pretty much take the upGrad route and just go. There is a question about ACCA. Let me search. Where is the ACCA question? The one who's asking me the ACCA question, can you repeat that for me, please? I have 6 years of experience as a corporate lawyer. Yeah, of course, you can take up any MSc as long as you do the IMT route. You can take any MSc, whether it's tourism or circular economy or FinTech or other courses. What is the job market for MBA? So, like I said, if you research about the French industry, it's the same sectors that are going to apply, have jobs for you, whether it's supply chain or logistics or electrical or fashion houses or luxury houses or hospitality industry. Just see which are some of the top industries, including manufacturing and engineering, and whatever your background is more supportive of, it'll be the same jobs. So there is no special jobs for MBA. It's the same industry. It's just that you may get a higher rank than other people. I know one of you is asking me about the ACCA thing, but I don't really know. Are you asking me if your ACCA can be considered as the 60 CTS? I let Sojan take that. So he's asking if he's done a BB or BCom, which is a 3-year degree, and they've done an ACCA pathway after that. The ACCA is the CA studies that they do in India. Can it be considered a 60 CTS? My answer will be no, because it's not an academic degree. It's more of a professional degree. But what is your take on it?
Even I have the same the opinion on that. But definitely, I think we'll have to have a double check with the campus friends as well. So once upon the clarity we receive from the campus friends only, we can give them an answer to this question. I can definitely take it a note to this. Okay.
Thank you so much. So at the end of the webinar, I'd love for you guys to take a short survey. I know surveys are really boring, but I will tell you guys what is the survey for. This survey is to know what is it that we could give you more on this webinar. What is it that you'd like to receive from us after this? Also to make upGrad webinars more effective for you. What would you like to know more about France? This survey will help us know you better, especially if you're planning to study abroad, and our counselors will read through your survey response and see how is it that, or what is the best course suitable for you, and they will accordingly come back to you with the right course. So please take the survey, fill it. Thank you everyone who was a part of this. I think it was an absolutely exciting webinar for me. As a host, we had almost 75 of you who asked us questions throughout this space. The ACCA, so Sojan and my team will get back to you. But like I said, you have to go in September 24 anyway. Give us that 1 year. We'll have you go through IMT, and everything is going to be all set. You will not need any ECTS anyway. But remember, ACCA, it is equivalent to a degree, yes, but it's a professional degree. It's not an academic degree per se. But I understand what you're saying. I think our team will come back to you. We'll consult with Sojan, and we will come back to you on what is and what isn't. How long can I stay in France? For 2 years, my dear friend, you can find a job. Once you have a job, you can stay for as long as you want. One final thing. Caroline, who can really apply for a PR. So how much time do you need to get a French PR? So either of you can answer this. After they get a CDI or CDD, how long do they need to be in France to get a French passport or a French PR?
Okay.
Would John
I'm
like?
not sure, but no, I don't know. I don't know why is useful to have a French passport, because when you have a CDI, after you have your working visa, and this it could be unlimited visa, because as long as you keep your CDI, you have your working visa. So sorry, I don't know the answer for this question, because we never asked this question, because you can live with an Indian passport in France.
Got that. Sure. So, of course, I think when you get in touch with your counselors at upGrad, we can, of course, research for you and help you advise on that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Does ESDES have any other partner university? There's one person who's asking, does ESDES have any other partner university in Europe? Is there a chance of spending a term at a partner university in ESDES?
So we have 100 partners universities in France, in the world, and now we are focused on SESB universities partners only, because it's mandatory with the SESB accreditations. So, but for the MSc, because it's a 13-month program, so it's complicated to propose one exchange semester. So we propose for the Master in Management double degree, for example. So if you study on Master in Management, you can do 1 year in France, and for example, 1 year in UK, in South Cloud or Cardiff, or this kind of universities. And at the end, you have so 2 years masters and 2 masters, one from ESDES and one from Cardiff, for example, in UK. So this is possible for the Master in Management. But for the MSc, there is no double degree program, and there is no semester exchange semester, because it's a short program. It's only 1 year program.
Thank you. Yes, and that makes sense. But if you were to do an MIM, which we also have a direct partnership with ESDES for, we can, of course, admit you into the MIM. And it's like they said, they have 100 partners. When you go to the website, you'll know more about it. And all of them would be AACSB, because they're an AACSB school. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming on our platform this evening. I think it was an absolute pleasure and honor for us to host you. Thanks to all our attendees who were here with us on this festive day. Thank you for giving us your time. I hope it was worth it. I hope you filled the survey. And for anything else, I gave you my email address, and we gave you our website, upgradabroad.com. I'll let Caroline and Sojan give their final valedictory word on on why they feel that ESDES is one of the best schools. You should really consider studying at ESDES.
Yeah. So yes, I think it's. I can give you the feedbacks of some international students who study here. That what they really enjoy is the city, because it's a very nice city for the students. We have 1 million populations in Lyon, so it's a small city for India. It's peaceful, but very dynamic, because 10% of the populations are students. So it's a very nice city and welcome city for the students here. So they really enjoy this. This is the first things that they really enjoy. The second is the Catholic University, because we are in the center of the city, and it's a university with 11,000 students and 2,000 international students. For them, it's a very, very international experience with French people, but as well international students. And our programs, we have a lot of business cases with some local companies and international companies, and they really enjoy this professional experience in the class.
Thank you. Over to you, Sujan, and then we close the day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pranit, for hosting us. And although I would like to tell our students who are the participants of this session. So ESDES Business School is a part of a reputed university, the Catholic University of Lyon. And the students, and although the campus is same, they share the same campus. So the students get the privilege of knowing us, the university students also. Plus, I think, I don't know, along with the bachelor's program, the program that we are planning out. So we have got a Solicity program. Currently, Solicity program is being added to the bachelor's session as well. So the students also can enjoy the humanitarian volunteer work, which is be part of the program, one thing. And we always, recommend students. We have a good number of students, good applications are coming up to ESDES Business School these days. And we have got a good number of network over, we have got 20 plus associations who are ready to support our international students in terms of the receiving from the airport to, backing up to the university. Then they'll be handed over to the international desk. And one more advantage is that we provide our own accommodation, so which is, hassle-free in terms of accommodation. Sometimes you go with the private sector. I don't know how you find your accommodation segment, but with 8,000 INR, 8,000 rupees INR, you can confirm your accommodation segment in ESDES Business. That would be an added point to, along the courses that we have, I believe.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us. Our counselors will be in touch with you soon. Like I said, I'm super grateful to all of you, including Caroline and Mr. Sebastian, for joining us. We will hopefully see each other next Wednesday. And meanwhile, take care of yourselves. Make sure you research on the upGrad Abroad website and speak to our counselors. And I think take a day off research. Look through what courses ESDES have. What is it that they have on our platform. And take a good look at the curriculum, the scope. What is it that you're likely to express your interest in? And then our counselors will speak to you tomorrow. And I hope you're more ready to have that dialogue for where the next 3 or 4 years of your life, are. In terms of your vision. But I really think that a school like ESDES, which is top 100 in Europe, can really make a difference to you and difference to where you see yourself in the next 3 or 4 years, and actually catapult, your work experience and the amount of growth that you normally get in an international economy like France, which is really, really robust. I wish you guys all the best, and thanks to the ESDES team for being with us right now. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.